So I hope you enjoy my
for
trip
all of our viewers, welcome. Here we have a special guest, visited from France, of the Yellow Vest Movement, the RIC initiative. Roman, would you sort of clarify to the audience what the RIC is about and give them a bit of clarity on what this movement at its very heart is about? Guys, feel free to move in. We've just started the interview and so forth. So. Okay, cool. Right.
Do you know Red Pill Phil? He's him and the lads are on the way down as well now. Yeah, they've just been doing a live feed up at the square, so I'm just messaging them.
That's good. Great lad.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, just in your own words, what is the RIC and the French Yellow Vest? At the heart of it, what is the movement about?
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for welcoming me here. It's my second time in England. Like, I think the last time I came here was 25 years ago, something like this. It's got a privilege to
One
come back.
Yellow Vest then,
I would say that the RIC and the Yellow Vest movement in general is it's not that much about like political or not that much about what people expect to be the organization of the city. It's actually more about like remembering what it is to be human. It's actually remembering what it is to like I think we've lost so much ourselves through all those years, believing different things that we actually forgot who we are. And I guess like now it's going to be time to go back into those roots and reconnect with ourselves and reconnect with ourselves as a civilization, as a tribe. So I would say to start, before talking about the RIC, I'd like to just like ask a few questions to you guys. Like, who here is walking barefoot at least once a month on the grass? Nope. Who's here is animals at home?
Yeah.
Animals.
Yeah.
Who's here is eating living food? Eating living food. Locally picked, recently picked, something that has been recently produced by the earth, not something that has been processed or stored or...
Yeah, we get berries, don't we, Mary? Yeah.
It's not that much organic, it's something that has been recently got from the land, not something that has been modified and... So like all those elements are what humanity used to do for thousands of years, and if we just pay attention of what we've done just over the last 50 to 100 years, we entirely disconnected ourselves from what used to be natural. It used to be natural to like connect with each other, to like who is hugging a tree, who has ever hugged a tree, who are doing those natural things to connect to living things. Because you know, like all those gadgets here, they're just fake reality. They're just like on and off. They are like synthesized perception of reality. It's not us. It's not real. It's not three-dimensional. It's an illusion. It's just like. And when I see people like just spending their time watching the screen and watching computers, and like now they even start like as young as 5 years old. Like you see them, or even less. That they just like start like. They don't engage with reality, they engage with the filter. Because this is a filter, it's not real. And the Yellow Vest movement is about like remembering this. It's about like getting out of this limitation perception of reality and just going back into those roots, which is like what we are. Because we forgot ourselves completely. Like I just walk and I was in a, like, I'm coming from a very rural place, like it's a countryside, so I forgot what it is to be that busy, you know, like there's so much movement, there's so much energy going all over the place, but I just see sad face, that's all I saw. I didn't see like joyful, vibrant people, like, and the problem is that when you're sad and you don't know that you're sad, like how can you fix the situation? How can you how can you get out of that sadness? How can you like make something that will make a difference? And it's like we have habits, like we use television to travel, we use telephone to speak, we use all those interfaces which are separating us from that experience that we call life. So I guess like it's a little bit long introduction, but like the Yellow Vest is about this. Woo! Yellow Vest is about like reconnecting as humans.
Thank you.
Right, so that's the introduction to the Yellow Vest RSC. So you told me that the movement is apolitical, so it puts politics aside, a kind of ideological truce or a pause for the single issue of implementation of the RSC. The RSC is basically a people's invocation of a referendum. Could you give clarity on how this model works and how it will change the dynamic of protesting as a whole?
Alright, so just to go back to what I said before, the machinery, like a filter, can be on or off. Okay, so it's producing stimulus, you know, and we're good, some of them were bad, and like what reality is teaching you is nuancing. Those devices doesn't teach you nuancing. So when we are talking about politics, and we talk like black and white or like left and right, we are losing the nuances, the perspectives of what it is. And that's the way politics got us. Politicians got us through that limitation perspective. I had an argument a few days ago with the UK Yellow Vest group, and the guy was like, are you socialist or are you capitalist? And I said, none of them and both of them. And he couldn't understand that. I was like, okay, are you from Le Pen or from Mélenchon? I said, none of them and both of them. Like, I couldn't understand that he couldn't understand that there's going to be more than just left and right, on and off, up and down. There's nuances, there's degrees, and those degrees are missing in our perception and the way we understand things. So what the RIC is doing is bringing back that nuance, bringing back that notion of how, like, we have people in power, we have people who are telling us what to do, what to think, how to think it, and if we believe in them, if we trust them, then therefore they got us. So the whole idea is that how can we block their ability to interfere with us, and that's what the RIC is about. The RIC is about putting a limitation to the absolute power of the people in place. So let me just elaborate on that. France has a very specific story, as all of you know. Right? We are one of the rare countries in the world that kill our kings. Okay, so what does it mean in the psyche of the people? Like, when we kill the king, we kill the father of the nation, we kill the image of the king, like the manager of the nation, and we also kill the God represented on earth. Okay, so we actually make we killed it 3 times, like symbolically, physically, spiritually, which makes us a very dangerous country, because it means that we understood that the sovereign, the people who claim to be sovereign, like, they are not gods. They are just, as all of us, they poo on the bottom, that's the way you say it, you know, they have to have a shower every day, they're just human beings, you know? And we understood that trick. We understood that there's a difference between those in power claim to be in power and us as just human beings. So that's what makes us a dangerous people for the globalism that is coming, because the globalism is basically collecting all the sovereign people and putting them into the same box. So if you give away your right to make decisions to the people that claims to be your representative, and therefore they got you. Okay? So like the analogy is that you go back home and basically someone is there and telling you, okay, do you want to come in or not? So I don't need to ask you if you want to come in, that's my free will. I want to come in, I'm coming in, and that's it. But in the organization of the city, then people put in place that structure which is based on vote. but we don't understand what vote means. Like when we elect someone, when we choose someone, they say, oh, you're voting for someone. No, like we can't use the word vote, because the word vote is that when we are making those decisions, when we decide to vote for our own laws, if we're choosing someone to make decisions on our behalf, we are electing someone. And election is like the same root, election, elite. It's the same root. Okay, so we are giving away our power to some people who are going to claim to be like more clever, more intelligent, more like stronger. They can make better decisions than us. Like no, you don't. So there's a trick there. Like when they use the word vote, like they're tricking us because we're not voting for them. We are electing them. And when we elect them, basically we give away our free right to make decisions for ourselves. Just because they make us believe that they were more clever, or that we are too stupid to care for what is right and wrong for us, you know. So the whole idea is that I'm not against that concept, because like basically there are three schools today. You have the representative democracy, which is what we are having now. We have people who are representing us, and they're making all the decisions for us. On the other side, you have the direct democracy. Direct democracy is when people vote everything. And let's be honest, like we don't want to spend our time voting everything all the time, constantly. So like you have those two extremes. The referendum initiated by the citizen is that balance. It's a space of balance where we have representatives, but we don't let them do what they want. We are like putting a limit in the absolute power that they claim that they have, based on whatever presumption or whatever belief. So what is the referendum initiative by the citizen, the RIC or CIR, Citizen Initiative Referendum? It's the capacity for the people to trigger national referendums from their own initiatives. So like you have the vote, okay, which is like you have to choose between like a certain amount of choice, but you also have the initiative of the choice. So a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, oh yeah, we have the RIC here, like they are doing referendums. Says no. When the RIC is triggered by the sovereign, it's not a RIC. The RIC is the initiative of the people. Citizen-initiated referendum. So the initiative comes back to the people. Because if we have to wait the prince or the queen to ask our opinion, then we are not free to trigger anything. Okay, it's very simple. And they make us believe that because they're going to ask us our opinion once at a time, like it's going to be good enough. But the truth is that when someone is doing something wrong, they're never going to ask you your opinion. Like, could you imagine Hitler in 1939 doing a referendum like, well, guys, would you like to kill Jews, or would you like to invade this other country? Like, you know, like that's a big risk. You know, so it's always when they need to be stopped that they will never ever ask your opinion. You know, because that's what power are doing, and that's what agenda is about. So if the agenda is globalism, then they couldn't care less about what you think. You know, like it's not about what you think; it's about what they want. So the referendum initiative by the citizen is that simple idea that, okay, we have a power in place, we have a pyramid, where you have the sovereign here and you have the people here, and the idea is that what about the people could actually impede on those sovereign power and just balance that triangle that points out with another triangle that points down, and balance that energy. So instead of them telling us everything, then now we can tell us, okay, fine, like we disagree with you, and we don't want to beg you to be listened. Because this is a protest, that's what a protest is about. A protest is like, I disagree. But at the end of the day, they're the one making decisions. It's not about us like having a true power to limit and stop their choice. Okay? Did you hear me well? Like, do you want to come closer? Try to come closer.
Yeah, just move in, everyone. Feel free to move the tables about. Yeah.
I'm going to go there.
Right, we'll let everyone sort of move in. I suppose the next question is the tactics of the elite. So a lot of, sorry, the tactics of the elite is obviously division. We're very polarized, and we're very sort of like, you know, isolated. There's the left versus the right, there's the pro-Brexit, there's the anti-Brexit, and so forth. In this case scenario, in order to implement the RIC, it's about unity and solidarity, and it's kind of like a temporary truce, an ideological pause to implement this new policy. After that has transpired, everyone can go back to their party politics. In this moment in time, I think yes, there's political violence in the UK with the likes of Antifa and so forth, but how do we go about integrating with the different groups of such strong opinions? How do we keep a left wing and a right wing yellow vest movement, or do we somehow find a way of merging the two together? What would your advice be for the UK in that regard?
So basically, the yellow vest, the French yellow vest, had agreed on 3 points. The first one is peaceful protests and smart civil disobedience. Okay, so we don't think that force and violence will fix anything. Why? Because they are the ones having the weapons, not us. So like, it's an unbalanced war. Second point is no politics, no political party, no union, no religion. So if someone is claiming to be yellow vest far right or yellow vest far left, you're not a yellow vest, that's it. You are not a yellow vest. So don't try to claim that you're a yellow vest. If you're asking, like that guy asked me if I was capitalist or socialist, I'm none of them because I'm a yellow vest. And if you ask me that question, it actually means that you're not a yellow vest. You probably don't know that because you haven't processed that information that we are transcending those boundaries, we are transcending those limitations, those separation principles. We are going beyond that because we are incorporating them both. So to answer your question, yes, we need to incorporate them as long as those people will understand that they need to put away their political belief and bring that unity, that humanity unity into the concept. Because like if someone is coming and say like I'm pro-white or I'm pro-black or I'm pro-religion or I'm pro-immigration or blah, every time you're going to come to anything else than power to the people, you're going to create a separation. Power to the people is the only thing that everyone should agree on. Do we all agree that we want to be able to stop the sovereign to tell us what to do when they want, in a peaceful manner and in a civilized manner? Okay, like if we all agree on that point, then therefore there's no point bringing anything else, because anything else will actually be a factor of division. Every time that I'm gonna say something, every time that I'm gonna use words, my words will have to be understood by you. So I'm taking the risk that you will not be able to understand them. But if I'm coming to you and I'm saying, whatever you are, I want to give you power, this cannot be misunderstood. And this is why the media are so afraid of the yellow vest. Like in France, there was a big blackout. But if you pay attention to the way the media treated us, it's very complicated for them because they can't say that what we're saying is irrational. Because we actually touch the core of the problem. Like, let's say for example, a few years ago there was the Occupy movement. And the Occupy movement actually did a great job to bring people together. But the problem is that they're actually starting to occupy Wall Street. So it wasn't like an abstract concept. They wanted to attack the finance. But when you attack the finance, then you're going to have people who's going to be for the finance, the people are going to be against the finance, and that's it. It's the roots of the division. See? So, but if you come and you say, I want everyone to have the power to express themselves, and the power to be listened, and the power to impose to the power their opinion, like who will not be happy with that? Because what we see is that a lot of people being fighting with each other. Why? Because they feel they're not listened. They're not respected, they're not listened, and they try peacefully, calmly for years to be listened, and it doesn't bring anything. So what is the solution? Do we raise our voice? Do we get violent? Or we just like change the infrastructure, the political infrastructure, the law, the constitution? Another point is that how is it possible that the constitution is the system that organizes the whole society, including the people in power, and it's the people in power who are writing the constitution? Like, does the judge write the laws? No. But the legislator judge the laws? No. So why the people in power are writing the constitution? The constitution, they should all be afraid of it. If you're afraid of something, like obviously when you're going to make something, you're going to make that special place where you're not going to have too much trouble, you know? So, but everywhere on earth, every country, it's the people in power who wrote the constitution.
How that? The Constitution is smaller than the people, or the people is bigger than the Constitution.
Yes.
And we should unite together.
So the idea is that we need to integrate those basic principles, like the very tiny basic principle of common sense. Common sense will tell you that you will not let a judge write the laws. So therefore, why do we let the politician write the constitution? It should be the people who should write the constitution. Because if it was the case, the first thing that we would do is that we would institute our power. And they don't want that, of course.
Speaking of
That's obviously
mainstream press,
incorporated in our Bill of Rights anyway, isn't it? It's,
true. But yeah, speaking of the press, I contacted various yesterday.
The people
They
are
couldn't be
suffering.
happier or quick enough to hang up that phone. The very mention of yellow vests on the telephone line to the mainstream press, they're just terrified. They're eager. They're genuinely afraid of the yellow vest movement. And precisely. So the thing is, everyone here that's currently live streaming, recording, listening, partaking, you're doing what the political elite are terrified of. They're mortified of the very mention of a yellow vest. So keep wearing your high-vis vest, keep attending every Saturday, and basically spread the true message that Roman is here to enlighten us and to give clarity to this movement. But yeah.
So just before, like, based on what I said for like probably half an hour, like, do you have any questions? Is it clear? Is it crystal clear so far on what I just said?
Yeah, very clear.
Is it common sense? Do we all agree that this is word of truth? It cannot be interfered, it cannot be changed, it cannot be like modified into something that is debatable or whatever. It's about common sense. It's about like bringing back common sense in our life. I started this talk about saying like, who is walking barefoot once a month? Who is connecting to the land? Who is drinking spring water? Who is eating the right food? Who is connecting with their fellow brothers and sisters without the machine in front of them to talk to them? And this is just remembering what it is to be human beings, you know, like this is common sense. And the thing is that no one can force you to do that. Like, you have to take that responsibility to remember what it is to be humans. Okay, so, sorry, but yeah, I just want to be clear. If there's any question, if there's anything that you want to ask me, like on those topics, so then we can move forward.
Yeah, I think we should take some questions from everyone attending. So,
let's say, for example, you have 1 million people, 1% of the population starting to come together and decide, like, all right, guys, I'd like to make a petition. Can I have 1% of the population to sign? Can we do another referendum about, like, do we want to have the Brexit happening or not? So we're not waiting for them to decide what we should do. For example, you do that 1% sign up, and then you trigger that power of the referendum, which is the people. People decided, so therefore the people in power have nothing to say. When the people decide, the representatives are not there to tell us how we should understand things or how we should think things. They should just say, guys, okay, I agree, you said that, I'm here to obey. And this is something we need to remember. They're not our kings, they're not our queen, they're not our sovereign. We are sovereigns. We are the true power. Without us, there's nothing. There's no civilization, there's no society. Without us cooking, baking, cultivating, teaching, working. Like, without us, there's no society. The society does not exist. And the trick of those systems, this system is in place, is to make us believe that without them, we can't organize ourselves. Well, this is debatable. Like, and as I said before, it's not about like getting rid of them. It's about being sure that we can stop them if they're doing something that is going against our opinion. Okay, so it's not about like, do the right is right or do the left is right or do the people in place are right or not. I don't care. I don't care if they're right or not. What I want is that everyone will give their opinion, because my opinion is not more important than yours, than yours, than yours, than yours. So that's the very simple idea.
So what about the vote for the...
Basically, it's down to the fact that people vote for people, you know, that is...
How to stop corruption in the...
Alright, so the question is about the crypto voting. So for those of you who are aware about the blockchain technology. So the blockchain technology is a technology that can, for the first time in our modern history, cannot be hacked. So this is a technology that can allow any information to be stored indefinitely, so far. We don't know for how long, but so far for the last 10 years, a blockchain hasn't been hacked, which is a good sign. That complicated, so just so you are aware of that, like we are currently working on that technology. We are currently putting in place a rig on a blockchain technology, so anyone on Earth would be able to vote directly their laws from their phone or their iPad. Like we are putting in place different type of recognition that wouldn't actually require identification. So we wouldn't need to know your name and your date of birth. We just need to have your fingerprints, your face and your voice, and that's it. We don't need to attach that to an identity. So you can still be anonymous, but like you will still be a unique person. You will not be. They will not have two people with the same voice print and the same fingerprint, and we will not store that attached to an identity. So it would still be anonymous in a way.
Do you think you'll get Macron edge?
Speaking of technology,
Do you think you'll get Macron edge?
sorry?
Do you think Macron will go edge? Do you think you'll go? Stand there?
Macron?
Stand
Yeah.
there.
Macron will not finish his that this is 100%
It's
sure.
very defiant.
We reached the point of no return. A while ago, there's people who died already. There's people who lose eye, lose a hand, lose a finger, lose a foot. There's way too much damage, so that guy will not be able to stay.
Helicopters dropping the gaps on them.
Yeah.
Do you believe the pen will replace him? Read the pen.
Well, I think this is the plan. I think this is what they plan. They're trying to bring her, and they are starting to negotiate with her in a way, but the Yellow Vests will not let this happen either. We will not let this happen. We understood through that education. So let me finish on the question about the rig. When I first started the Yellow Vest, and I started to talk about the rig around me, there's probably less than 1% of the people who knew about the rig. 3 weeks later, after the beginning, on the 17th of November, 3 weeks later, like half of December, probably 80% of the Yellow Vests knew about the rig. Now, 2 months later, like everyone only wants one revendication, the rig. So it only took 2 months to come from 0% up to 100% once the referendum initiated by the citizens. So it's very quick. It's very quick. Why? Because it makes sense. It totally makes sense. So we were lucky enough to have that Etienne Chouard who did that work for that long and prepare the ground. So people like me and people like many others could actually study and realize, oh wow, he's right. This is the trick. We actually mixed the Queen and God. We think that because she's the Queen, no one can impede on her free will. Well, sorry guys, but no. She's just a human being. No matter if some people believe that she's a reptilian or whatever. But
Guys, just to let you know, there's now the police presence here. Some officers
Police have been in and they've been watching us.
so hopefully no arrests.
Could someone go and ask get the music turned down? Because they can turn the speakers down individually.
Oh, they just popped by just a moment ago, but
They're just having a look, see what's happening.
So they spotted us. But either way, the message is out there. We will not be censored. So ultimately, we're still taking questions as well, but by all means.
You spoke in the week about the platform, social media platform. How's that going?
we're still raising funds to make it happen. So it's still in negotiation. But if the funds are coming before the end of the week, we expect the platform to be ready in the next 2 months.
And have you got a GoFundMe going for the funds?
Yeah, if the funds are arriving, I actually raise funds with like private investors because we don't want this to go too much public. Like we don't want to attract too much attention. But we know that they already know that we're doing this. So like the quicker this is in place and the quicker we can move forward, the quicker we're gonna have a way to spread information without being afraid of like being shut down, censored, like controlled by robots or stuff like that. And this will incorporate the cryptocurrency, a voting platform. It's going to be a rig integrated into the platform. The platform will belong to humanity, by the way. It's not going to be corporate organized. There's going to be like ways so that people can understand what it is through social media to actually get in control of the platform itself.
You protect the information as well.
Sorry?
You said something about information.
Yeah, the information will not be sold. The Information will not be sold, and there will be no ads. But the people will have to pay for the platform. Like there will be a free access, but there's also going to be a paid access. So like it's going to be ours. So that's something that people need to understand as well. Is that sovereignty has a price, the price of freedom. But like yeah, that's the price to pay to be free. Like you can't really get access to everything for free, and we see now with Facebook that yeah, it's all free, but we have no dignity anymore. We have no identity anymore. We have no privacy anymore. We sold out our privacy for free. Not only mine, but also all my friends, all the people that are brought into my network, and this is not mine anymore. Like it's intellectual property from someone else. So we need to understand that this needs to stop. Like we need to be able to get this control back on our life, because like this is what sovereign is about, standing on your 2 feet.
So how will it actually be implemented? How is it going to work?
This platform?
Well, no, the RIF. How are you going to?
In the platform or in politically? In politically, okay. So politically, the best plan, like there's 3 options basically. It's all based on what the government will want to do, because now they know what we want. So like of course, like you have to understand that Macron isn't sovereign. Like Macron is like a Rothschild bankers. He's working for sovereign interests. So he's just a puppet and like doing the job that he has been paid for. Like we elected him, so we actually gave away our power to someone that has a foreign entity interest. And something is telling me that your prime minister is like quite similar. So without the RIC, like we can't stop them, we can't control them. So like now the cat is out of the box. So like how long will it take? Like the question is not like are we going to succeed? The question is how long is it going to take? That's it. It's just a question of time. Because you know, like when people are ignorant, then they don't know that they're missing something. But as soon as they know, like they will die for this idea. And this is what's happening. Some people are ready to die in France for this idea. Until you don't know something, that you're missing something, you're like, that's fine. But now with the situation in France, like with the amount of homeless, with the amount of inequality, with the amount of privilege that has been removed from us, like slowly, like we know in 5 to 10 years, France will be completely sold out. Completely sold out. It's going to be the same because this is the plan. Like the plan of the country is to sell out every portion of countries to private interest. That's the plan. The plan is that the private interest will take control of everything. So then we would just be employed by them, and we would just like our sweat and blood would just bring value to them, not to us. So that's how they want to control us. So we know the plan. So the question is not about the plan. The question is about what are we doing to stop that? And is it an idea that's worth fighting? Okay, because like another disease that modern society brought to our life is the lack of meaning. Like there's no more meaning in what we do. Like okay, we are filling paperwork, we are buying things, there's no meaning behind what we do. Like before, like there was a meaning when someone was spending 10 years to learn to carve a piece of wood to make something, he was putting meanings behind his action, because today all that has been removed from us. Now we're just consumers, that's it. We are electors, we're consumers. We lost that thing, that pride to make something with our hands or with our heads or with our body. We lost all this. So, and the thing is that I can't rejuvenate this in your mind. I can't wave this in your mind. You have to do that job. You have to challenge yourself to go beyond your habits and to question your habits and to make something different, to awake that spirit that is inside of us, that this globalization is trying to destroy. They're trying to destroy that spirit of who we are as human beings, what connects all of us with nature, with animals, with each other, with everything in life.
Chris, you had a question?
The European Union, do you think it's going to survive? Or is that going to go down?
Again, the European Union was the dream of putting together like 27 or 30 countries which all have history, all have different systems, different language, different things, and just trying to say like, guys, just forget about your culture just forget about your thousands of years of culture and now embrace this culture. And if you don't do that, we're now going to send you the cops to be sure that you're going to understand the message. So another aspect of what France is realizing is that a lot of people were not aware of the level of violence and the level of indoctrination that was going in the government. So initially they were just protesting, and it was a peaceful protest, and suddenly they're starting to face the reality, which is that democracy is only peaceful as long as you agree with the system in place. As soon as you disagree with the system in place, democracy will show its true face, which is like soft dictator. Okay, it's pure fascism, but I don't want to use the word fascism because fascism is way too connoted. Like, we need to stop using those notions because they're there to confuse us. It's dictatorial, yeah, you can use dictatorial, yes. Fascism is like trying to again bring too much things into an idea, and then like just throw that in people's face and say, oh, you're a fascist because you disagree with me. So, see what I mean? Like dictator, yes, dictatorship. It's a soft dictatorship. So yeah, I guess like this is what people are realizing. Like they thought it was a democracy until they came to the protest. Like they were just expressing their freedom of speech. They were just like mums and dads, like all of us, walking with the kids, and suddenly like cops sending them tear gas bomb. And like, what? And it's a shock of reality, you know, because between seeing that on the screen and living it, like the body is traumatized, the whole body is traumatized because it's a real experience. And this is awakening people that okay, I thought it was like between what you thought it was, because we're so used to see violence on the screen, and facing cops who just look at you like this, and then suddenly they receive a message and like, okay, now get out, and they send bomb and they hit you and they beat you, and like, what's going on here? So
I'm very surprised that there hasn't been violence back. With the level of violence, I mean, it's unhappy that there isn't.
The message is that if you're pouring violence on violence,
It just gets worse.
it just gets worse. So smart civil disobedience, being smart, because they want you to be violent, so therefore they can like say, oh look, those people are just like a whole bunch of fascists.
That's amazing.
And the fact that we all kept cool, and we not all kept cool, but I can tell you the extreme minority who didn't keep cool, they learned their lesson as well. They learned their lesson very quickly. They learned what it is to be unarmed facing armed people. You know, like you have armed in front, so being violent is not the answer. And you're not also respecting the people who are there, because their job is to maintain order. So you can actually be peacefully blocking a situation and not disrupt anything, you know? So that's what it is to be smart. What is to be smart is not just to explode and destroy and kill and blah blah blah. Like this is being stupid. But being smart is like understanding the situation, understanding the game, understanding that without us there's nothing. So we have the power. The question is how are we going to use that power against the system in place? Okay? So the first plan is to basically strike as long as it takes. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Brazil strike for a year and a half. They stroke for a year and a half. Of course, blackout here. No one will know that. They stroke for a year and a half. And after a year and a half, get out. And it works. Of course, they don't want you to see that, because they're going to tell you, oh yeah, don't look over there. It's just like stupid fascists or stupid leftists, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't look there. Like now when you hear like extreme left or extreme right, what are they talking about? Like you should actually be careful about what they're talking about. I'm not saying that every people in those movements are smart, but I'm saying that you should actually try to understand and speak to the people first. Not judge them, because this is exactly what they want. Again, on off, white and black. There's no nuance. It's not that man that is fighting for whatever anti-immigration stuff. He's a dad, he's a husband, he's a son, he's an uncle, he's a human being. If you really just limit a person to a name or to an identity, a political identity, you are the asshole. You are the stupid, not them. If you play that game of limiting the perception to something that tiny of just a fascism, for example, what fascism mean? I still don't understand. Is it like what? Like the people who were imperialists? Or whether the people who were patriots? Or whether the people who like were like putting hierarchy in race. Like, what do you put in that word? I don't understand. And that big confusion is how they can grow the ignorance. Okay?
So what happens on Monday after Saturday and Sunday? During the week, what happens in Paris?
Most of the time, nothing happens during the week. We just like now strike every Saturday. Like some people have their own individual smart disobedience operation. Like they just like now trying to like block that space or create those initiatives, or like they're starting to work online. They're starting to like create those constitution assembly where people can get educated, because the problem is the lack of education. It's not that even much about like physical things, because we all have access to information today. The problem is that people are wasting so much energy watching bullshit.
Yeah.
Excuse my French.
So
the issue is that the people
We've been watching bullshit since 1972 when they took us into the EU.
the people don't spend their time learning the right thing, doing the right thing, educating themselves. Like that whole system has been developed around division and entertainment, making us believe that entertainment was the only way we could exist. Well, like thriving, going beyond your limits is something that is really rewarding. But they removed that from us. They only kept that for career. And career is like just really one-way oriented, like just kill everyone around to be the first one. Well, like if the brain is in competition with the heart, who's going to win? If the brain is in competition with the heart, who's going to win? None of them. You die. You die. Competition is not the answer. If the kidney are in competition with the lungs, who win? You die. No one wins. Competition is not natural. Collaboration is natural between the kidney, the lungs, the brain, the blood, the cell. Like this is how the life exists. Like, do you know that trees collaborate all the time? The roots are connecting to other roots and they're supporting, and if a tree doesn't have access to nutrient, then another one will come and bring the nutrient to the tree. That's how life works. Collaboration. If you've been brainwashed to believe that only your species needs to survive, then well, you are the problem. Not because it's true, but because you believe it. So you assume, you presume that you understand things, and that's another problem. The nuance is missing. We need to do our due diligence, we need to educate ourselves, we need to think properly, bring truth in your mind. You know why? Because I love that French sentence in English. You speak about food for thought. Well, if you put shit in your brain, food for thought, if you're feeding your brain with the wrong information, this is going to be called like mental diarrhea. And this is what we see. We see people like just like constantly saying the same thing, and it's just like lost.
Contribute towards this. Is there a charity box I've got to give to here or anything? Just asking.
You're welcome. Come in.
Just asking. No, I'm just asking whether I've got to give to the charity box first. I agree with this man 100%, but I'm not too sure about the charity box.
Okay.
There's no charity box.
So this is a free event, is it?
Listen to the speech now.
Because I'm just making sure this is a free event for people,
yeah, that's
and we
great.
don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Orange, I'll get a drink, John.
Right. Any further questions, guys?
No, it's anybody else says a lot of the questions.
Roman!
Sorry?
Division.
Well, like I said, I can't get close to
This guy has to come. I did have a conversation with him.
The left and the right are never gonna get along. Hey, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Like as soon as they see you, they know you, and they think you're Nazi. As soon as you see them, you think snowflake.
Well, it's a funny thing about division and polarization that we face.
No, but it's like, no, but in the end, though, it does make you stronger.
Yeah, it's true, but the thing is, I've been called every pejorative under the sun. I've been called everything from a Nazi to a Jew to like everything, right? And at the end of the day, like they can call you the most horrific things to the point where it no longer matters, it no longer affects you. Like the left usually calls people racist, and what do we call them? Communists and socialists and so forth.
But that's true.
Well, most of them, even if they are those things, right, we can still have a civil debate, the same kind of a debate that our forefathers used to practice.
The government wants us to.
Correct.
It's all divided, so it's all the divide. Now we need to know.
So I've been interviewed by a lot of alternative media.
I think
No mainstream media wants to
was
talk to me.
asking for anybody.
Because my message is there's too common sense. So they just, yeah, exactly. They don't want people to think, they want people to react. They want to bring the lowest aspect of them, like they just want them to react. Like,
In your education system in France, I don't know if you see it, but I've watched the dumbing down of children to the extent, I mean, the things that we can't understand, it's just mind-boggling. Dumbing down.
oh yeah, dumbing down the population. They do that in the whole world. Like they don't just do that in our society. It's everywhere. The funny thing is, I'm crossing a lot of international debates, and everyone is just coming back and they're like, oh mate, like you can't imagine here how divided we are. Like, so, you know, what's happening? Oh yeah, in Canada, you know, like we've been hijacked by the far left, and we've been hijacked by the far right. Like you don't know what it is. And so, oh, okay. And then I'm talking to the English people and say, oh yeah, mate, like you will not believe what's happening here. Like we've been hijacked by the left, far right, and far right there. Yeah, I heard this story before. The question is not about what the far right and the far left are doing. The question is about you. All of you. What are you doing? What are you doing to inspire others to be a better person? It's not about them. It's not about the bad people doing the bad thing. It's about what the good people are doing. How can you inspire your brothers and sisters to react the best way to enlighten others, to basically share that light, that yellow light?
Unfortunately, communities have been so divided. I think in England it's going to be very, very difficult.
Again, and so what? And so what? I'm not a part of the community. Like when I studied that video, I was completely unknown. Again, so like, what's your excuse? You know, like it's again a belief system. We believe that we need to be known and famous and blah blah blah. Look, I was living in Australia for 6 years. I was on holiday in France. I was like, you know, participating to the Yellow Vest movement, and one day I was talking to friends in America, and they were like, what is the Yellow Vest? I said, what, you haven't heard about it? Yeah, so yeah, no, there's thousands of people on the street, blah blah blah, and say, yeah, we just heard that you are lazy bastards who don't want to pay tax. And I was like, oh, okay. Of course we are, of course we are, but this is not the point. The point was that I took my phone and I put it there, and I just take my yellow vest and say, yeah, France has a message for the world. I was completely unknown. I've never voted in my life. I never participated in any manifestation before. I'm Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and there's thousands and hundreds of thousands in France who are Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They're not people who like are professional in politics or whatever. They're just human beings who just stand and decide that now we just draw that line on the floor and we're not going to go beyond there. That's it. End of the story. And the more we actually stand it, the more the cops were actually beating us, the more people were seeing the violence and they were outraged. And now the people are coming and coming and coming. So the only thing that we did as a people is to just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. That's it. It's determination that makes change. Okay, care and time. Care and time are the two elements in reality that allow you to transform and influence reality. It's both, okay? If you only care for a minute, it's not enough. But if you care for a while, you can transform something. if you have kids, you know, like if you only care for them for like 5 minutes in a day, not enough. But if you care for them and you give them love in a constant base, you're going to make great adults. The problem today is that like we're so busy working, making money and all that, that we actually let this task to the school. So now like the system in place just have to hijack the school and that's it. End of story. We actually give away our power to too many people. We give away our education to school. We give away our voting power to oh, thanks, mate.
More than welcome.
What's your name?
It doesn't matter, brother. Carry on.
Doesn't matter, just carry on.
His name is Maya. His name is Maya.
Oh, he's famous. You're famous.
For Jeremiah.
True Englishman. Proud.
How French? What's it?
Too bad. Be proud. They're loud and proud. Yeah? We'll fight them all. They're loud and proud. Come on. Loud and proud.
Any questions?
So how are you actually, are you going to like, okay, so the next time the government votes, you are going to be able to vote for it as well?
So yeah, that's a good question. So what's going to happen politically? So there's a lot of debate. There's recently a lady, Yellow Vest, who created a political party. And the political party hasn't been approved by the groups. So basically, we ask her to remove her yellow vest. Like she's not a part of the yellow vest anymore. Okay? Because the only yellow vest political party that would be accepted is the yellow vest party that will only have one mission: bring the rig to the constitution. That's it. The only mission of that political party would be to give the power back to the people. So that's very simple. This is the easiest, simplest way you can change the system from inside. Use their own weakness. You give us the illusion of voting, fine, you're going to take it. Not a problem. You're just going to find an envelope, an empty envelope, and the person that's going to be inside will have only one mission, which is to be elected only to put the referendum initiated by the citizen in the constitution. Checkmate. Checkmate. There's no... You don't need violence. It doesn't require... Like, that's why I'm saying the cat is out of the box. So, like, when the people understand what the rig is about, they will not forget about it. And the first thing that you guys have the responsibility to do is to spread it. Just spread the message. That's all you have to do. Educate your brothers and sisters. Because by yourself, we're weak. But all together, we are powerful. So the message is very simple.
So when are we taking them over? When are we taking them over? In the Houses of Parliament, when are we taking them over?
I just explained it.
Tracy Blackwell is going to take them over for us and we want you on side. So when are we taking over the establishment? Because that's what I need to listen to.
Well, I'm waiting for people like you to show me how to do that, because I don't think we're going to be able to do it.
Have you spoken to Tracy Blackwell?
I don't know what this...
Tracy Blackwell, yeah, has got the blueprint of how it's done. And I think we learn off of people and people learn off of us. So Tracy Blackwell is a representative of what we do, and she has the right idea of what we're doing. So
power to the people. Show us. There's no one way. There's one goal. There's many ways to reach that goal. Many ways. I gave a few ideas, but if you guys have a way to march on the parliament, I'm not going to promote it, of course, because we are against violence. But you guys do your job.
Yeah, no violence. No violence. No violence. No violence.
I'm not saying that violence gets shit done.
That's right. Tracy got the idea. That's it. Take over. That's it, brother.
Peacefulness never gets you anywhere.
And we want to be on your way of taking them over, and we can put the two stories together.
Speaking of different methods, Roman, can you clarify what the bank runs are about in France? And how we can implement them here in the UK?
The bank run. Oh, right. Alright, so they...
Sorry.
Alright, so there's been rumors that the French people are going to make a bank run in France by removing the currency from the... Like, sorry guys, but this is false. This is a false flag. It's not a fake news, but It's just that the system already anticipated that. So it's not because you're going to remove the money from the bank. Like, I don't know if you are all aware of how banks are making money out of thin air. Like, they don't need cash. So it's like if you remove the cash, then well, they're just going to make more money, fake money. So I don't think this is an option. It's good to weaken the system through many ways, and I agree. Like, there's not one way to achieve that point. We have the goal. Now we need to find how we're going to do that. The RIC in the Constitution, the CIR, Citizen Initiative Referendum in the Constitution, in all matter, by the way, in all matter, constitutional, legislative, parliament, in all matter. So by the way, in all matter is I am. So I am RIC.
I just can't sit down for too long.
I am RIC. I am Referendum Initiative. I am Citizen Initiative Referendum in all matter. Okay. So we know the goal. We just don't know how we're going to do that. But I just know something, and this is the reason why I took my phone, is that the elite can stop one fire in France. But when I did that video in English, I knew I'm going to touch a lot of people. So my goal was to actually start little candle here and there in the world, and hope that that candle would actually spread, and that many people could use that candle to enlighten others. So that's the intention behind it.
How many other countries in Europe?
So it's really hard to know, but I'm in contact with Germany, I'm in contact with Portugal, Spain, Italy, there's a little movement in Sweden, Finland, Denmark, even Luxembourg. I was surprised to see some people in Luxembourg. Switzerland are with us. All Europe is slowly growing.
It's actually also in Iran. There's a yellow.
Yeah, the Irish are
And America.
No, I was saying in Iran.
America is a bit complicated.
Canada's dry.
America is a bit complicated. Yeah, it's they're finding their own style now. Canada, Australia. Now the question was about Europe, but
I said Europe.
yeah. So there's Australia, there's Canada, there's some country in Latin America. I don't remember exactly, but Australia is on the path as well.
You guys have to realise, I left my drink on the other continent, so I'm going back there now. It's going to be all day.
The more important point is not that much about the yellow vest. It's about RIC. Yellow vest movement.